All right, welcome back to Judging Bouncing Balls. I'm Jeremy with host Toby. We have our special guest, Matt. We're going to introduce him here in a second. So thanks for stopping back in. We are going to be doing our first ever interview tonight, so we're really excited to have Matt join us. And we're going to get to know him quite a bit over this show. And just as a kind of a little recap, if you have never watched our show before, first of all, shame on you. But if you need a little background on what we are and what we do, we started this podcast because we really enjoyed youth sports, and as we're watching the youth sports, Toby and I always mused about the fact that when balls were bouncing, seems like kids could never really judge it, and so that's kind of where the name came from. It's more of a poke at just the learning development of young athletes, so that's kind of where the name came from. But hey, we're really excited to have Matt with us. Matt is the head hockey coach at Spash High School here in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. So it's awesome to have him on and get his perspective. And we're going to let him talk a little bit about himself here in a second. But Toby, you got a little groveling to do because we had the bet, from last week, Bayport versus Spash, and Spash came out on top 3-2. Yeah, it was a grinder of a game, but man, Bayport just wasn't enough in the end. So,
well, first off, I find the timing of this guest truly amazing, right?
Yeah.
Like, haven't talked Spash hockey at all. Haven't talked hockey, and so the bet's placed, and I will admit that Spash came out on top, superior team, superior town, city. I mean, pretty much everything. Now, I think that's what I was supposed to say. Jeremy we did. The bet was to transfer some sort of Spash gear, Bayport gear for the other to wear. And I'll be honest, Jeremy's more of a medium, so his shirts were not going to fit. I'm a little bulkier than a medium, more of a small, large, I'll call it. So
you're stealth.
Stealthy yet chubby. So we haven't gotten to the point yet of switching gear. We'll get there. That's part of the conversation we're going to have with Matt today is Spash hockey gear. I think it would be great whether I have to pay for it or not, but that's up to him at the end of this, how this goes, what kind of budget he's under. But it's going to be great. We're going to get to find out who he is and what he's about and his stories of youth. And he's actually got a lot more experience in sports than me and you combined, which is good. So,
yes.
Matt, if you want to introduce yourself, kind of talk about where you're at and what you're about over there.
Yeah, my name is Matt Pohlkamp. Second year teacher here at Spash. I was very fortunate that after my first year teaching, the Spash hockey position opened up, and I was like, wow, that was convenient. And I applied, and I was very fortunate to have received the position. So being second year teacher and first year head coach, I cannot be more thankful to be here in Point. And truly, the hockey experience, the commitment, the love, the appreciation, the support for hockey in Stevens Point I have been blown away by the amount of the appreciation that hockey is in Stevens Point. And it shows, right? It shows when you beat a team as good as Bayport, because they were a very high quality team.
Thanks for bringing that up again. Yeah.
They really they were a really good team. I think the rankings just came out today. Bayport, I think, is top 5 or top 6 in the state, and for us to have won that game was a huge victory for us.
Yeah. And to Bayport's credit, they were really a tough team. It was a fun game. It was a really close game, and they did a heck of a job. So, and honestly, Toby, I really wasn't planning on having Matt in at this stage, but it just worked out perfectly with the schedule. So, yeah, I mean, it was meant to be. So,
right. Truly meant to be. I'm surprised he doesn't have a big banner behind him that's a Spash or something.
I know. I thought about
it. So, Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about your, what got you to this point? I'd love to hear the story about your hockey career, how you came to be a teacher at Spash, a coach at Spash. What led you to this point? You can even start as young as you want with your hockey career or your career in general.
Yeah, I started playing when I was around 5 years old. Grew up in Minnesota, Baxter, Minnesota. And it was really weird. Both my parents played basketball, football, track. They knew nothing about hockey, but it was weird. You could sign up for hockey at an earlier age than basketball. So my parents just wanted me to be active and doing something. And sure enough, I started playing hockey, and then it just stuck. That's just what I kept playing.
Matt, that's code for they just wanted you out of the house. So
Exactly.
I don't want to break it to you, but
yeah, it's out of control. But for sure, and then I'm the oldest of 6, and five of us played hockey. So big hockey family at the end. But then just grew up all of youth playing hockey in Minnesota. Played high school hockey for 4 years for my local high school, and I didn't truly appreciate what it meant to be playing for your local high school because in hockey in most states, like in Michigan, out east, Illinois, you have to play AAA hockey to compete at a high level. And in states like Minnesota and Wisconsin, you're able to play a very high quality of hockey and still play for your high school team. And when I went and played college and juniors and professional, they were like, you got to play high school hockey with your buddies that you grew up with. And they were like, that is so special. Like I had to go travel all over the country and all over the state to play with random kids. I got to play with my youth buddies and play in front of my own peers at the school. And you have a student section, how special that was. And I wish I would appreciate it more once I was playing high school hockey, because once I was out, I was like, oh, now I feel what you guys mean by this. That, playing at home is so special. And then I got to play with my brother as well, and a lot of cool different aspects like that, because my brother's 2 years younger than me. After that, during my senior year of high school hockey, I committed Division I to Bowling Green State University. Very fortunate to have a commitment right there out of high school, because a lot of kids have to go play juniors, and then they have to earn a college scholarship during juniors. And what juniors is it's kind of like a gap year where after high school, you just go play hockey on a team. No school, no nothing. You just literally play hockey on a team. And when I went and played juniors, I played United States Hockey League, USHL, for about half the season, which is the top tier junior league in the U.S. Great experience. I was in Fargo, North Dakota, and I actually halfway through the year, I got cut. I got sent down to a lower tier junior hockey league, which is still very good. But to get sent down to the NAHL, so North American Hockey League, where I finished the second half of the season. So definitely some adversity really early on in my career. I think it was a great wake-up call. Definitely challenging, and I think I was 19 at the time, to be cut from a team that you're proud to be a part of and compete with, and then have to go play somewhere else. The other team I played for was great, Bismarck, North Dakota. I loved it there. I would recommend any player to play there as well. But that was just something early on in my career that you can't take for granted. Like every single day, every single moment, someone wants to take your spot. They're competing. They want to get to the next level. And I think for me, experiencing that early on is like, Matt, you just can't go through the motions anymore. If you want to aspire to achieve your goals, you can't just go through the motions. So that was big for me. That wasn't ideal, but I think it was a good learning experience at the end of the day, to kind of appreciate that for sure. After that, I went to go to Bowling Green State University, where I played for 4 years. Super special place. I wouldn't change it for the world. Before I got there, our program was in a rebuilding phase. And actually 3 years before I got there, they were on the fringe of folding as a Division I program. Had a new coaching staff come in. Chris Bergeron was the head coach, and he literally transformed Bowling Green hockey back into a top tier program. At one point, in my sophomore year, we were fourth in the country. that was pretty special to be ranked that high and went from a team that wasn't even supposed to be existing anymore. Truly amazing experience. And then actually my brother Chris, who's 2 years younger than me, he played at Bowling Green with me as well. So my brother, he played in the United States Hockey League. So when I was a junior, he came in as a freshman, and to play 2 years of Division I hockey with your brother is pretty neat in itself. And, you know, having my parents come and watch, playing at Bowling Green was cool because we got to play like Bemidji State. We got to play Mankato, so we got to play those Minnesota schools as well. So my family and friends were able to come watch, which was pretty cool, and I appreciate that, and I will forever. Just jump right in after college, or?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I got to stop you real quick though, because remember how I told you I used to play NHL 96 all the time? That's how I knew hockey, because video games.
Oh yeah.
When you said the name Chris Bergeron, I'm like, wait a second. Chris Bergeron, I know him from, he played in the NHL, and he played right when I was playing that's NHL 96, so I know that name.
There you go.
You dog. That's awesome.
You know, one question, when you were coming out of Baxter, did you play in the state high school hockey championships in Minnesota? Because that's a huge deal.
Oh, it's a massive deal. My hometown has never made it.
Okay.
And on my
So you never participated in the hockey hair, like you weren't part of the best hairdo in Minnesota championships?
No, and yeah, it's to make that tournament is actually extremely difficult. I look at my high school team. There is 2 players on my high school team that I played with that are in the NHL right now, 2, and 1 guy who is in the minor league still playing in the AHL.
Wow.
Along with my brother and myself, who have both played D1, and our team couldn't make it. That's how competitive it is.
Because I travel Minnesota for work, and that's when that time of year it sells out. It's like a massive deal. And then the biggest thing out of it is the all hair team, which is fantastic. If you ever look it up, these mullets are precious.
Okay, so I have to ask this question now then, Matt, because I don't know you. I don't know this part about you. Did you ever have some sweet lettuce? Like I'm talking the flow in the back with the mullet. I mean, if you do, those pictures would be priceless.
No, I never lived that lifestyle, unfortunately.
Oh.
All my buddies did, but
wow.
I did.
You did.
That'd be amazing. Okay, we need to see.
I went to high school with a skater look. Everything was bleach blonde and shaved because I skateboarded my chubby butt down the street. And then when I left high school, it rolled. My senior high school pictures were beautiful. I never played. Didn't play hockey. I could have, though.
Okay, that's pretty amazing. So, yeah. We got to see that at some point. So, yeah, I mean, actually, just real quick, you were mentioning the all hair team. I think I'm just going to bring this up real quick because it's called Flowchella. And I'm going to just bring this up and share it on the screen so people watching can kind of see this. The all hair team, I got to see if I can get some. I mean, you see back, it's been a while. This is a long time that they've been doing this. You got the flow back there. They've got some video on it. I'm not going to lie. I didn't look at this page before I started, but let me back up here because there were some other. Yeah, I know. There's some other pictures in here as well. So, I mean, look at this guy.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
Chops. Yes.
I mean, that's some spectacular hair. And you're telling me, Matt, there's no pictures of you doing this?
No, you're not going to find any.
Well, I guess that'll save me from searching the internet tonight.
No, this kids live for this. Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. These are unreal. Okay, this is something I've never even heard of. Look at this guy. I mean, that's amazing.
And they give out prizes too.
Wow.
It's a fabric of the tournament. I think they grow these probably all year, praying to God they get to the tournament.
Right, yeah. The tourney.
The tourney.
That's what they call her, yeah.
Because where is it? Is it it's downtown Minneapolis? Is it where the Gophers play, or is it where the Wild play?
Minnesota Wild play at the X.
And it sells out. It's nothing like.
Wow, that is phenomenal. I can't tell you what
60.
I can't tell you what I would pay to see Matt Pohlkamp in high school with that hair. That would be amazing.
That's why we never made it. That's why we didn't make it. I didn't well,
Okay. All right. Well, sorry. I'll unshare this here. That's just, I enjoyed that very much.
as you should, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So college. So that's where we left off. Yeah. And that's, yeah, like, let's pick up there. What happened after college?
Yeah, so after my last game in college, I got a phone call 2 days later asking if I'd be interested in signing for a pro deal. So I signed a pro contract, and the team was like 30 minutes from my college. So I was playing pro hockey games while still going to college. And college was nice because you play Friday, Saturday. Well, pro, you play any day of the week. So we'd be an away game, get back 2, 3 in the morning. Then I'd my 8 a.m. college classes. So that was a grind for, I think I did it for about a month, but I'm glad I did. I mean, it was awesome, an incredible experience. And then after that, I just ended up playing 2 more years pro between a team in Iowa, South Carolina, and then Pennsylvania. So I did that for 2 years.
So you would choose Iowa over South Carolina, I'm assuming, because of the beauty?
Oh, my God. Yeah, right, exactly. That team was in Charleston, South Carolina. Oh, my gosh. I mean, and the team pays for your apartment, and they put you up in like the nicest apartments, pool. I mean, it was phenomenal. So, yeah, I do have a story about how I went from South Carolina to Pennsylvania. I had a bunch of buddies. We played Friday, Saturday at home. I had a bunch of my best buddies from back home, Minnesota. I think like a group of 5 of them were flying down to Charleston. And the day that they arrived at the airport, I got called in early to practice by the coach. I got a text. It was probably an hour before we needed to show up. He said, "Hey, Matt, could you stop in early today?" I instantly knew what that was. Came into the coach's office and like, "Hey, Matt, you've been traded to Reading, Pennsylvania." I'm like, the day my buddies were flying in. So I get traded the day that they were flying in, and I had to get back on an airplane to go play the next day for that Reading Royals team. And as I'm in the airport flying to my next team, my buddies just landed, and I got to say hi to them for like 5 minutes. And then
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
I was like, are you kidding me? We get there. But it was all good though. It was, it wasn't ideal, but got to play for a good Reading Royals team and enjoyed that as well. But so I did the minors for 2 years. It was a lot of fun. My brother just graduated college, and my brother signed a pro deal over in England. I was like, well, that kind of seems like fun. And I already played 2 years in the minors. So I was like, I'm going to go over to England too. So we both signed a deal over there, and we got to play a whole season together playing in England for the Coventry Blaze. To play high school hockey, to play Division I hockey and professional hockey with your brother is pretty cool. So we got to do that. And then that was during 2020 when COVID just kind of took off, and our season got shut down. And that was kind of, there's a lot up in the air. And I just decided, hey, this is kind of the time. I decided not to kind of retire. So I did that. And then I did a year of medical sales in Wausau. I was like, it was good. I enjoyed it. It was an awesome experience to go into operating rooms with doctors and help them with surgical equipment and doing the sales. And then I saw a teaching position open up the Stevens Point district. And I was like, oh my gosh, I went to school for business. I actually was going to school in college to be a teacher, but because of our practice times, I couldn't take the teaching courses. So I had to switch to business. But oddly enough, a business teaching position opened up, which is great. I applied and I got the job. And now I've been a teacher the last 2 years, and I could not, honestly, I'm so thrilled and couldn't be happier to be here. So that is where it brings me here today.
Nice. Well, let's be honest. He heard about me teaching, and he's like, I got to be with this guy. I've heard through the grapevine how amazing he is. I just got to do this. So yeah, it's okay. You can say it.
You can tell he's new because my wife's a teacher too, and I don't know how many years she's been doing it, but now it's just like, what a terrible profession. Everything's bad. Like you're in it too deep now. So how did you get to Wausau though? I mean, Baxter's a small town north of St. Cloud.
Yep.
About an hour, 45 minutes.
About an hour. Yep.
Yep. And then you end up in Bowling Green. And then I'm going to be honest. Like if you throw a lot of darts at a map, I might choose Wausau, I guess, compared to something else. But no offense, people in Wausau, love it there. Rocky Rococo's, I think.
Yeah,
it's a really nice place.
You got Rib Mountain, so there you go. Yeah, medical sales is like super competitive with a lot of different companies, and they like athletes. So I got recruited to do medical sales there. That's how I kind of wound it up, and
it's amazing I didn't get into medical sales with my athletic ability. That's so weird.
Yeah,
that is weird,
right? But so Wausau, okay, and then Stevens Point. Are you hoping to grow roots there? I mean, are you happy in Stevens Point? No, I mean, Jeremy's not listening to this. Let's be honest. I mean, you're going to say you're happy with Spash, but is that something long term, or are you thinking like is your goal high school hockey coach, or would you like to? Because I know we're coming with college coaching. There's more schooling, right? Masters and different things. I think on different aspects, but is high school coaching where you're happy with right now? But is your goal something else down the road?
I mean, my goal is to always aspire to face the hardest challenges that I can take on. With that being said, this is my first year as a head coach. I need to learn and navigate and take in as much possible to see if that's even an avenue that I'd want to pursue. So really, I'm taking it one step at a time. My wife is a teacher here as well. We feel very fortunate, feel very happy to be here, honestly. And when I say Stevens Point is a phenomenal hockey town, I truly mean that. And one of the goals that I aspire to and want to accomplish at Stevens Point, with our tradition and what they do at the youth level in Stevens Point, I want to bring a state championship here. Like that is my right. It's not my goal because I want kids to have fun and enjoy and create great memories and take positive aspects of playing hockey. But that is definitely one of the aspects that I want to achieve here is to do something great like that.
Well, you beat great, so you're on the right path. Being the Pirates.
Yeah,
that's a banner. You're going to put a banner up?
Yeah.
Just going to say beat Bayport.
Beat Bayport. Yeah, one goal every year, beat Bayport.
Oh, man. So expand on that a little bit, Matt. Like, why coaching? Because listen, when we've talked about in this show a few times, coaching is great. It's got a lot of rewards. It's got a lot of really cool things that come along with it, but it's also can have some headaches, and it can be a challenge as well. So, like, tell a little bit about the why coaching for you. Like, what was it about coaching that really intrigued you and wanted you to kind of get into that? I'm assuming you had some probably influential coaches in your life that you wanted to probably try to emulate as well, but I'm just hypothesizing here.
Yeah, well, first off, my dad was a football coach, and he coached for 30 plus years. And he was a teacher as well. So like just to follow in his footsteps, I think is special to me because as someone you look up to as your dad. But a huge part of my why and why I wanted to get into coaching is because when I was a player growing up, I had some really good coaches. I had some not good coaches. And I would get frustrated, like why isn't there more good coaches that care and are knowledgeable and care for their players and want to be there and all the things it takes to be a great coach. That is a huge reason why is I want to be a positive impact in the minds and hearts of young players. And because I appreciated that so much from my coaches growing up, the ones that I admired. And I was like you look up to them, and that's so cool, and it's neat, and you appreciate that. So that's a big why for me. And then my other why is when I grew up playing and a coach would tell me something and they would just say it to me. I would be like, I'd kind of look at them funny and be like, I wouldn't totally understand what they're saying or appreciate it or hold value to what they're saying. And I want to make sure that that's clear to the players that I coach. If I tell them something, I want them to have a purpose. And then I'm going to draw it on a board, and then I'm going to show them video, and then we're going to practice it as well. I want everything that I say or try to help the boys, achieve their goals. I want them to have a purpose and have them be a why, and have them appreciate the things that I tell them, because that's how I feel like that would have made sense to me as a player. And I would have that's what they're telling me, or that's what that means. That's how they're going to help me get better as a player.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's just me as a first-year head coach, right? I just, I don't have years of experience to say that I am doing that or doing it the right way. But that is something that's a goal of mine that I want to achieve for my players.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Those are probably the two biggest whys for me.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks. And that's really insightful, because I can identify with that as well. The coaching that I have done, that's kind of the takeaway for me, is like, I just want to have some influence and impact, and hopefully in a really positive manner. Not like we talked about last week, where that soccer player is like, man, that guy had no idea what he was doing. I'd really like to have some impact where they're like, hey, he taught me something, and that was impactful for my life. So I can totally identify with that as well.
Yeah, and I think every youth sport can use young coaches that are exciting, have a story. It's always fun to play for coaches that played. When you get a dad that doesn't, that's just out there because his kid needed a coach. The excitement isn't there. We talked about last week how the benefit that your kids are going to have learning from you with your insight versus the physics teacher from another small school because they didn't have a coach. And so I think it's a great thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And I love seeing the smiles on the boys' faces too. I mean, that's hard to beat. So,
all right, let's break the ice here. So when you play hockey, let's say they're gonna guy bumps into you, right? And you're like, hey, that's rude. And then you just beat the living snot out of him. So were you a fighter?
I was not a fighter. I did get in a fight.
Fight?
I got into one official fight, a couple other scrums, nothing really dropped the mitts. I had one fight that I legit dropped the mitts and chucked him at a guy, or tried to. So I definitely wore a couple punches, but at least then now I can say I can take a punch and didn't go down. So,
dude, that's fantastic. What was the penalty?
Me and this guy, it was over in England. We're kind of like going at it all game. We're beaking each other, chirping. And finally, they kind of had enough. We just kind of looked at each other, and he's like, "You want to go?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're going." That's how you ask a guy to fight. It's like, "You want to go?" And we said, "Yep." And we dropped him, and I don't know how long it lasted, but it was like 10, 15 seconds, and then wrestled to the ground, and that was it. We shook hands after, and we're like, "Hey, good fight," and we're buddies after. So
Oh, come on, Matt. You got to sell it like it's a battle royale. This thing went on for minutes. I mean, you're
Right.
circling
Oh
the ice,
yeah,
just ducking it out. And then,
just do it. Jeremy, you've seen the video. You've seen the video.
I have seen the video.
Yeah.
So it was pretty funny. I was telling Toby before we went live and before you jumped on that was like the talk of the school because the kids figured out really quick, like, this is what, like when I was in high school, there was no internet or very limited. You didn't Google anybody. Now when they get a teacher, they Google the teacher and they're like, they want to find every dirt on this person they can. And right away, Matt's fight jumps up. And so that's like the talk of the school for a little bit. Like Matt Pohlkamp was in a fight. Here it is on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's just this awesome. And so everybody kind of got to see it and see the toughness of Mr. Pohlkamp. Nobody's going to cross him. They're not going to act out in his class.
That's right. No, we messed around. That's right.
It's good stuff. No, you held your own. It's not like I've seen some fights before where in hockey fights where you can just tell one guy's not a fighter and he gets into a fight and it ends very poorly and very quickly. You held your own. You were there. It wasn't like he rolled over you or anything. You were right there. It was good.
No, that guy that I fought was been in fights before, so I was happy with it. I held my own, so.
I will say though, it's amazing to me when Matt told me that story the first time and I heard it. I was like, it's just amazing that you're like skating around. You're like, hey, you want to go? It's because I just always envisioned that it was like you got so angry that you just all of a sudden just whipped your gloves off and you're just going at it. It's like it's all gentlemen, like, hey, you want to do this? And yeah, let's do this. Let's go.
No, okay, we'll wait.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice to see you. Yeah.
Right. So
very gentlemanly.
Now, hockey's so different of a sport than any other sport, right? Because most sport you play club or high school, and then you get a scholarship and you go on to college. But like I have a neighbor who never played at Bayport. He was the number 1 draft pick down in Madison for the Capitals.
Oh yeah.
I think at 16, he just got drafted by the Islanders in the second round. I mean, I've never seen him play locally because it's like if you have to travel, right? I mean, to play like you talked about playing in Fargo, you just don't have a set course. There are kids that move out of the house when they're young and they try to play and try to get to the show. I mean, right? So you bounce around city to city, you live with different families. It's completely different than any other sport out there.
Yeah, it really is. And if you're, Todd, the kid's a second rounder, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're that type of player, yeah, you're gonna be leaving home early. Like, I don't know how old he is, 16, 17 years old. He's gonna be playing.
Yeah, he's 18 now. I think he just
now.
signed with the Badgers at UW. So his path has been set for years. But, you read about I went to Northern Michigan University back in the early 90s and after they won the national title. And I got to know some of the players and some of them came out of Canada. And that was a different scene altogether. I mean, they were living in different cities, bussing it everywhere. They kind of lived on a bus or in a basement. And it's just funny that as a parent, like our daughters play higher level soccer, but it's not like, hey, nice job, we're going to ship you to Florida to go live in Larry's basement and best of luck. There's a little more control.
Yeah, you go to a host family, they take care of you, and that's kind of like your temporary family, and you go play hockey in that random city, basically.
Did you live in a host city in the different or host family in the different cities you went to?
Yeah, so like in junior hockey, I had a host family in Fargo, and then I had a different host family in Bismarck as well.
They check out the families, right? I mean, they just don't give you
they
some
do background checks.
I'm watching them like shows of police and like.
Yeah, they interview the host families, and then they actually, I don't know what part of the team, somebody that's involved with the team will go in and tour the home as well.
Okay.
To make sure it's actually a good home for the players.
What's their obligation? Do they feed you?
Yeah, it's something like they have to feed you at least once, like dinner. Like you have to cook them a dinner for the players, and then lunch is kind of like on their own, so they can come home and make a sandwich or whatever during lunch, and then dinners usually sit down with the family. So it's cool. I mean, you build a bond with that host family, and generally a lot of the host families have kids. So you're playing like little mini hockey with the kids and playing games or playing video games with them. So it kind of becomes your second family. And I know like a lot of players I played with and myself, like we stay in touch with these families. So they'll follow your hockey career for as long as you play, which is pretty cool too. So,
have you heard of any horror stories out there? Problems with not your host family, but
yeah.
others?
So one guy I was playing with in juniors, the host family was taking when the kid would go to practice or whatever, they would like take money from his room. So if you had any like spare cash or whatever, they would just come in and take the money. That's a rare scenario. I've only ever heard that once out of everyone I've played with.
Rent?
Yes.
So,
yeah. So
I've never heard of bringing somebody in to rob them.
Yeah, bring them in to rob, basically, right?
my kids do it to me all the time.
Yeah. But that kid got a new family right away. So
yeah,
that was kind of.
Now, question for you on how, and me and Jeremy were talking about this because I made a comment, and I don't know if it's true or not. But if you live in it, I don't know because you live in a small town, but like in Stevens Point, they have one like youth hockey organization, or they have multiple. So like in Green Bay, we have a couple. We have De Pere, and there's Schwabenon. And now, if you live in that area, you have to play for that organization. I'm pretty sure. Do you know how that works? Because in soccer, if you don't like it, you just move. You just pick up and switch clubs. You could go to Milwaukee. You can go anywhere you want as long as you're willing to travel. But isn't hockey a little more controlled?
You know what? I actually don't know that because I grew up in the same size town as Stevens Point. And we always had one youth program.
Because I remember Banks from the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah.
And then his dad tried to a little rental property or something.
Yeah, so he had to go back to his other team.
So everything we know about the hockey right now is from Mighty Ducks. So if you haven't noticed, we are really struggling.
Well, I wish I was more help for you. I didn't grow up in a big enough city to know that, actually.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to get somebody else, somebody bigger on, apparently.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Someone with knowledge of the situation.
So, hey, one of the questions I have, and I've always been perplexed on this, I know baseball is a little bit similar. You mentioned that, like, when you went to college, and you just talked about the guy that was at the Islanders, it's interesting to me you can get drafted, but then still be in college. Because to me, it seems like those two things are kind of conflicting, and I've never kind of really understood how that works. And I think you even said you were in the pros at one point while you were in college. How does that work with eligibility? Do they just have different eligibility standards for hockey and baseball that they do for, like, you couldn't be drafted if you were in football for the Packers and still be playing for the Badgers? Like, it just doesn't. It's just odd to me, like how they delineate the two.
Yeah, so hockey, you can get drafted when you're 18. And if you're like a top caliber NHL draft pick, probably within the top 5, at 18 years old, you can go right to the NHL. But you're probably a top 5 pick at 18 years old, which is, I mean, you're insanely talented and gifted. Most guys, right, there's 7 rounds. Most guys, have to play, 2, 3, 4 years of college before they end up making that professional stride.
Okay.
So it's just like, I think that basically they have your rights to you.
You don't get a signing check. You don't get any money because that would be.
You don't get any money. Nope. You don't get any money until you actually sign the contract and you start playing games. Yep.
Interesting. Now, is it the same way as like with baseball? You can get drafted multiple times. I think that's the case, isn't it? Where you can like get drafted by one team and then you kind of go back in the draft and get drafted again. Or is that not correct? Am I off base on that?
Was there a movie on it? Like the Rookie?
I don't think so.
The Rookie.
Okay.
But no, you have 3 years of eligibility. So 18, 19,
okay.
You get drafted. Yep. After that, you can just sign with whoever if you're undrafted. So
okay.
Now, one of the topics that is big for us because it's club sport versus high school sport is multi-sport athletes. So you're a winter sport, right? And if you have any football players, do they bleed into each other? Do you have players that play club, other sports? Have you run into that at all, where you struggle to the balance of what team they choose, or is hockey just kind of you're lucky enough that hockey plays hockey?
Yeah, I feel like hockey's pretty lucky. Where like there's no really club other sports that really conflict with our season. So I feel like from that standpoint, we're pretty lucky. So I don't think I've ever really had to deal with players doing multiple sports. I know a lot of like hockey players that played football and they'd play fall hockey, like that would conflict. But even spring hockey would conflict with baseball players. But I never, and maybe we're just lucky that our winter sport doesn't conflict with a lot of club sports.
That is nice, because then you don't have that conversation.
Right.
Do you feel like multi-sport athletes are good for hockey, or is because we were talking about that on the multi-sport episode that we had of that certain sports, and hockey was one of them, where it was actually most NCAA players in hockey were single sport athletes. Do you feel like that multi-sport athletes are beneficial in hockey, or is it more you need to specialize to be really elite or to be really good?
Yeah, hockey's an interesting dynamic where I've seen both sides. I've seen the multiple sport athletes, but then I've also seen guys that have specialized. And I think for hockey, it's kind of goes both ways. Personally, I played high school football, and I practiced football all during the week, play a Friday night game, and then I would go and play travel hockey on the weekends and play 3 hockey games. And that was on repeat all fall long. And then, my brother did. My other teammate that I played high school hockey with, he was on the football team too. And we all did the same thing. Right. And I have seen it both ways, honestly. So I like multiple sport athletes. Maybe I'm biased because I was one. A lot of my buddies were and played baseball and golf and did all these different things. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic with hockey. It really is.
Okay.
I have buddies that only played hockey, and they're just fine too.
Yeah. So we can test this really quickly. So let's say you have a really good hockey player, but he also likes to play another sport that's in your season. How do you feel about that? Do you support him, or do you like try to convince him to only play hockey?
I'll answer it for you, Matt. I support him as long as he chooses hockey first.
Yeah, that's
because this is the real test, and this is what we've talked about. It seems like coaches are super for multi-sport athletes until it infects them, and that's where I'm always kind of curious about that, like how you navigate those waters. It sounds like you were willing to work with them because you work kind of with somebody worked with you.
And it's interesting. I mean, this is the hard part. I'm a first-year coach, so I don't have, these years of experience to lean on. And this is coming from a guy that's never had experience, but I can just throw out an answer, and maybe it would change if it did occur. But if they want to play both, I suppose they could. I appreciate him for the time that they can give you. I mean, I would never want to stop a kid from playing something that they like to do.
Yeah.
It's easy to say when I'm not in the situation, right?
Yeah, understood.
How important is ice time with the team, though? I mean, hockey's a game of ebb and flow, right? You gotta practice together. It's not, I don't even know, every sport has it, but if and that's one of the things we've talked about that difficult in sports today is as kids even become more specialized to get, if you have a really good hockey player, and it goes for every sport, you're kind of willing to maybe give a little bit because he's been on the ice long enough, but you still need him at practice, and that's kind of where we get to try to figure out our kids' lives of what makes more sense as sports become year round.
No, for sure. We put a lot of our processes into practice. And if you're not at practice, you're missing a lot of our team concepts, right? A lot of guys rely on each other and know where they're going to be at a certain point in time and how they're going to skate, when this situation arises. So from that standpoint, yeah, that would be really tough if a guy couldn't make a lot of practices, which would make it challenging for sure.
Well, it's great when you're 3-18, but if you're running for a chance at something great, you want the players on the court or ice. I'm all about winning. I like to win. We push winning on the soccer pro. Well, not us. We're just dads. Yeah. But let me tell you, the car ride there, the speech is pretty important.
I like that.
That's interesting. And I guess that's kind of where I'd be kind of curious, Matt, on your perspective. Where do you see things going from here? I mean, obviously, your experience, how it was when you grew up and what the club's like, being in a club versus being in a high school sport. Do you see the future? Like, what do you see in the future? More specialization? Do you feel like more multi-sport athletes are going to, kind of emerge? What do you see changing in your area or in hockey from your perspective, from what you've seen?
I think just my assumption, right, is I think unfortunately things are going to continue to get more specialized. I think they are. And I am an advocate for a multiple sport athlete because I'm biased. I was one. And the buddies I played with were ones. But even since I was in high school, I feel like a lot of guys are just playing, the one sport.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, it's hard to see that sometimes. You kind of want all the kids to play all the sports.
Yeah.
Play with different teammates and get coached by different coaches, which I think is important because then they learn what they like and don't like or how they like to be coached, which is huge. Yeah.
Yeah, what we're seeing more too, we have 3 boy soccer players at Bayport that are excellent. They're playing club only. So they're bypassing their high school days to play club. I know there are athletes that definitely should. I mean, my neighbor should. I know the track athlete from Stevens Point. I just actually read an article about her, how she won, I don't know, greatest. Like she's killing it, and she should be on that level. But the rest of us and everybody else, I'm a big component of high school sports. I think there's something to community, and there's something to playing with your peers, like you said. So I hope that I get nervous that is going to go away. Because I don't think high schools can compete with higher level club when they're offering tournament in Florida where you're going to be seen by 50 coaches, whether it's good or not. But people buy into that conversation thinking they're all coming out of here with D1 scholarships when in fact it's not the case.
No, for sure. That's why I love high school sports. Like I talked about, you get to play with your high school buddies and play in front of your own student section. Yeah. If you are a high caliber player, you can. There is clubs for you. There's clubs in Wisconsin for hockey, right? Like you can play. There's like AAA teams in Madison. If you didn't want to play for your high school team, you can go play there, or Milwaukee, instead. And kids do for hockey. Unless you are a top tier caliber kid like the second rounder, your neighbor. I think you should be playing high school sport.
Right. No, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
So the high school girls are too. Let's be honest. I mean, we don't want to be chasing all over town.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I hope that club sports don't overtake high school sports. I just, one of the things we mentioned before that's a real advantage to high school sports outside of playing with your friends is I've been to a lot of really good club games. Toby and I talked about this as well. We've been to club games between high-level players, high-level teams, and the only people that were there watching were the parents. And, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that's just the reality. Whereas you can get two high school teams together, Bayport and Spash, two really good schools, awesome schools. They come together and there's, 500, 600, maybe 1,000 people in the stands. You got a rowdy student section. You got people excited. There's chants, there's cheers. Right there's lots of people there, and that's a community involvement when you can get all those people together, and especially if you get two rival high schools, Spash and Wisconsin Rapids, together. It's like there's an intensity there that's not there in club sports, and to me it's a shame that kids don't get to experience that because they played club only. And listen, I understand why they're doing club only, because club gives them that higher level of competition. I get it, like it makes sense, but I know what Toby's feeling like too is. You just miss out on all those really cool experiences with your classmates, with your schoolmates. And there's something to be said about that, in my opinion. Even if, maybe it's not the highest level of competition, but it is what it is.
No, Jeremy, I agree. Like, I played high school, juniors, college, and pro. The first thing I look back on when I think about my hockey career is playing for my high school team.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And they're like, honestly, some of my greatest memories are playing for my high school buddies.
Yeah.
And I truly mean, like, that's like the coolest thing ever. I still can remember them, like, when we'd score a goal, they'd run a lap around the arena. We were the Brainerd Warriors. Our student section would dress up in armor and run a lap around the arena with a flag. Like,
that's awesome.
Right? Pray to God you didn't score a lot of goals because I'd have been tired.
Yeah, and like our student section high school is called like the mosh pit. And every time we'd score a goal, you'd jump into our student section would fall backwards. It was
okay.
And I can tell you, and I promise you my players, here for Spash would tell you this too, that I talk about this weekly, is I want all of my players to build great memories that they can take on forever and share with their buddies from years to come. Because when I go back home on the 4th of July, my best buddies, we talk about high school hockey, or football, or baseball, or golfing with them. Like, those are the things I want my players to be able to carry on and share those moments with each other 10 years from now, 20, 30 years. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's what it's all about in the end. I mean, for the majority of these players, high schools might be the last stop that they have. Maybe they do a little bit past that, whatever sport it is you're in. That should be a good time. It should be good memories, something they look back on with. Whether you won or lost, there should be some fondness there, some good memories that you have.
Isn't University of Stevens Point, they have a pretty good hockey program, right? For D3? Yeah.
D3.
Yep.
They're in the mix every year.
Yeah, they're usually pretty good. They've won a few national titles. Girls and guys have won some national titles. So yeah, pretty good hockey tradition in Stevens Point. We've produced a couple NHLers right here out of Stevens Point, which is pretty sweet as well. So yeah, there's definitely a good tradition here. But the craziest thing, and Matt alluded to this earlier, I couldn't believe it when I went down to the WIAA state tournament for girls hockey, and I was looking through all the state championships, and I was looking like, where's Spash for boys state championships? We have been there, I think it was 4 times into the state championship, and we've only won 1 time. For all the the good stuff that's been out of Spash hockey. And that's not a shot at anybody. It's just really unfortunate. Like, as good as this program has been, it just hasn't been lucky enough to have some state championships. We just have the one. So I think that's definitely something that would be fun to see in the future. So
or Bayport.
Or Bayport. Oh, are you still here? I thought this was a Spash show. Yeah. I'm sorry. My fault.
Getting there, I had to break the tension there. I was like, am I moving? Like,
yeah. So, anyways, so Matt, tell us. One of the things we just covered was some parent stories. What kind of parent stories do you have from your travels in youth hockey, or anything cool that you saw, or it's like goofy stuff? We got to see a fight. I got to see a fight in a youth hockey game, girls' youth hockey game. That was pretty, between the fans. Anything you've seen?
Oh, gee. Personally, hockey parents can sometimes get a bad rap.
You think
sometimes?
so? especially Minnesotan hockey fans. 'Cause
Right.
Minnesotans,
This whole,
I don't know if you know this, Toby, but Matt is a Vikings fan, so that is a problem. That's his first
it's
strike.
his time to shine. His time to shine.
You guys get how many good seasons? I'm just hoping for one here. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Gosh, I wish I had a really good story for you, but
Have you run into parents in by no means get any more close to speaking names or anything, but have you found out that you're coaching? Because I've coached youth sports from football, baseball, rugby, and the parents are constantly, they get to chirp a lot, and they're chirping about playing time, and they chirp a lot about everything. Have you had some pretty good success without running into that, or are you seeing it like just the slide comments or the email or the phone call after a game, like Johnny only got 4 minutes on the ice, and you're like, I'm just trying to figure this out, or has it been pretty good?
I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I also get where the parents are coming from the standpoint, like they want the best for their child. And I understand that too. Like I wish every player was, first line or power play or scoring all the goals or on the varsity team. I wish they could all have that, but at the end of the day, it's a competitive sport and you have to play the best players. Right. And who gets to play is earned. First off, it's earned by the players. But then, right, it's ultimately up to the coaches to make some tough decisions. But that's sports, right? That's why you compete. That's what happens. So I get where the parents come from, right? They want their kids to play. Right. And I've been in the same boat, right? I got traded. I got cut. Like I get what that feels like. It's not fun. But at the end of the day, you have to kind of pick yourself up and battle and compete and try to earn that spot.
Is there anything that prepared you to make the cuts, though? Because isn't that a tough decision? I don't care what level you're at, whether, but anytime you tell some kid that they're not capable of playing at your level, it hurts.
No, it definitely does. We're fortunate enough that we have a JV hockey team, so nobody had to get cut, but they're not on the varsity, right? So that's nice that we don't have to make any cuts. But
did you do what my baseball coach did when he made us take a lap, and then when we got back, he had a note hanging up with the kids that made it, and then he was nowhere around.
Oh no! Oh.
I'm like, you son of a gun.
Well,
it reminds me of Major League where they're like opening their locker for the pink note. That's funny. Yeah, that's a tough, and I gotta believe that had formed you a little bit, being cut, being traded. It's not like it was always roses. That's got to help you when you're identifying with a player that's disappointed about a decision that you've made, because you're correct. I mean, I've experienced that as a coach where you have to tell a player, hey, these are our starters, and you've got kids that really busted their behinds and they want to be a starter too, but they're not. And what that means for that player, because that means they don't get as much playing time, they don't get as many opportunities, and there's a lot of disappointment there. But that's got to help. I know it's helped me being in that situation where I didn't get to always start and I didn't always get to get what I wanted, but it helps you relate to them. I've got to believe that helped you as well.
Yeah, and I think so. Like like I said, I played in the minors. Yeah, I wanted to play in the big leagues, right? Who doesn't? But I know what it feels like to not be on the team that you want to be at. And not saying it makes it any easier, but I feel like I can relate somewhat.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. Just looking through it. So anything outside of hockey that you wanted to chat about? What did you play in high school football? What position?
I was a running back.
Oof.
So, yeah, our high school team was pretty good. We got to play in the old Metrodome on the state semifinals for the biggest class of football. I think it was 5A at the time.
Okay.
that was pretty cool to play at the Metrodome. We had a good football squad that year.
Did the roof cave in on that dump?
Yes, yeah, that was before.
I was gonna say it.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to bring it up, but I wanted to say it too. Okay.
No offense.
So what number?
Can't win in Minnesota, huh?
Oh, geez. What number did you wear, and who did you model yourself after? If you were going to be any kind of a NFL running back, who were you going after?
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
I want to know. Are you like a Mike Allstott guy, or are you a Barry Sanders? You got some moves on you, swivel hips.
Adrian Peterson, minus the fumbles. So,
Oh, okay, all right. Tight grip, high and tight, baby.
yeah, I was nowhere. No, I'm just kidding. I was nowhere that caliber, but
Okay.
I just know he's
all right. Fair enough. Nice. Toby, anything else you wanted to ask Mr. Pohlkamp here?
No, I really appreciate him coming on. He kind of led us off on having our first guest. It's been a pleasure. I mean, timing, I still question,
Yeah,
fair enough.
But I don't blame you. You got to strike when the iron's hot.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
I got one story for you if you guys want.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I would love it.
It is a hockey story. So I was over in England, and my roommate, 5'10", right, smaller guy, and then we had a teammate 6'4", maybe 6'5", 270, and
Average dude,
right? It's a big hockey guy. He was ex-NHLer, big time, fought some heavy guys. And his name was David Brohl. So his nickname was the Brohldozer. Fitting.
Nice.
Fitting. And so one day the Brohldozer bumped up against my roommate and knocked his tooth. So didn't knock it out, but it hurt. So as the night went on until 3 a.m, his tooth just kept like hurting more and more and more and more. Are my keys here? Yeah. So his tooth kept hurting super bad. And finally he had enough. He's like, I have to rip this thing out.
Oh my God.
And when we lived in England, our keys looked like this. Like good old skeleton key. So he's like, how am I going to rip this tooth out? So he took the key, latched it into his tooth, and ripped it out with our house key. This is what we had, so I kept it. I knew this story would come in handy.
Come in handy.
Yep. So his tooth goes flying across the room. He picks it up, and he had the idea if he stuck it in a glass of milk, that he could then take it to the dentist and they could put it back in. So he takes the tooth, sticks it in the glass of milk, and it sat in our fridge. And yeah, so it sat in our fridge for like 3 weeks. And him thinking the dentist could put it back in. Luckily, he told us, like, hey, my tooth's in the fridge. Don't drink the glass of milk because, But, so yeah, it sat in there. He ended up going to the dentist. And they're like, no, that's a myth. Like, that's not real. You can't put your tooth back in after that. So.
Is he a dentist today by chance? I mean, did he go on to great things of scholar, being a scholar, teaching anything?
Yeah. So that was one of my more interesting stories.
Wow, that's phenomenal. To be capable of ripping your own tooth out, and having the wherewithal to think that you could put it back in. Why didn't he just leave it in? I gotta ask.
It hurt so bad. Like he just like couldn't take it. I don't know. It must have been super painful. So
I mean, ripping it out couldn't have felt great.
I know. I mean,
That's amazing.
That's kind of hockey guys for you. Kind of.
Okay, so I got to ask you this then. Speaking of teeth, I have never asked you this. Are all of your teeth real?
They are.
Wow.
So only close call. And I know one of my tooth is going to die here. Some guy shot a puck during a game and it hit me right here. So I had 5 stitches on the outside, 3 stitches on the inside. I could like stick my finger through my lip because it cut it open. And I know this one tooth is going to die eventually. So
I mean, Toby, you felt pucks. I mean, those things are like rock hard.
Yeah.
Taking that thing to the face has to be just an unbelievable amount of pain.
Yeah, super painful. I mean, I couldn't. I mean, it was super cut open, so I couldn't finish the game. They couldn't stitch it up. I had to do it to a hospital, and so. But I was playing the next weekend.
Of course you were.
That's
just tape the ears back and go get them.
Yeah, tape the ears back. Yeah.
What favorite hockey movie?
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, you gotta go with the classic Miracle. So,
okay.
I'm a Youngblood guy.
Yeah, Youngblood's very good too. No doubt. So, a lot of young guys haven't seen Youngblood, which is
right.
I was like, "What are you guys doing? When you play hockey, you got to watch that." So,
favorite hockey game, or Jeremy, go. Do you have one?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd probably agree with Miracle, but I really like Slapshot. Slapshot's a great movie.
That is too.
Yeah. So when I lived in Marquette, because I went to school up there.
Well, he'll be back.
Yeah. I sat at the bar with a guy that played with knew the Hanson brothers because they were from somewhere in the UP, and they were real deal. Like they were nuts.
Really?
Yeah, that was a great movie. The Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs. I honestly, it's been so long since I've seen that movie, but I really enjoyed it. I'm trying to think of other hockey movies. I mean, there's the Mighty Ducks, obviously. There's, there's some other good ones, but I really like Slapshot. But Miracle was good. Definitely not the comedic value in Slapshot or in Miracle that you get in some of the other movies.
No, not at all. That was more the feel good. But yeah, you're right. They don't make a lot of hockey. They made a ton of football, right? They made baseball movies, but they never made a lot of hockey. I wonder if popularity kind of killed that.
Yeah, I don't know. Happy Gilmore, would you consider that a hockey movie?
Yeah, I mean, truly, he plays with a hockey stick.
He does play. Nobody said Cutting Edge. Did you see Cutting Edge?
I loved Cutting Edge.
I mean, the hockey player that turns into a figure skater.
Hit in the eye.
Amazing.
He's from Minnesota. He gets hit in the eye, and he turns into an Olympic. Hello. We were just talking about one of the greatest Minnesota movies of all time.
What's that?
Cutting Edge. The Minnesota hockey player that gets hit in the eye, and then he becomes a figure skater. Hello.
I mean, Matt, you've got to watch this. No, this is a movie.
Well,
dude, you're watching this.
But it is a great movie, and he wins.
You got to watch this tomorrow.
He wins gold.
Yeah, he does. Well, we don't want to root it for you, but Matt,
he might win gold. He might not.
I don't know if you get the thing right now or what, but
we're dead serious. Okay, I'll bring this up. Well, and by the way, I like where you put the camera now. You're not half out of the screen. This is better. I like this. This is good.
Was that what it was? Oh, my bad.
I was going to say something. I'm like, maybe there's something reason why, so I didn't want to bring it up. But you look amazing. He's head on. So, but I got to show you this. So, The Cutting Edge, or I think it's The Cutting Edge. This is a real movie. I'm going to bring this up for you so you can see. So here, let me share this. We're not joking around. This is legit. So here we go. Share. He's a hockey player that gets washed up and he can't do it anymore. So then he for whatever reason, this lady's Olympic partner fails. And so he gets to be the guy who's going to be, he's going to be the guy that's going to be her partner. And so I'm not going to show that preview there, but he ends up being her partner, and it's a real movie. It's you've got to see it as a hockey dude.
Toe pick. Yeah,
it's a legit thing. Who's the actor? I can't remember his name. I can't think. I don't see it here. My wife would know right off the top of her head, but I don't remember. Anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Whatever. It is a true hockey.
DB Sweeney, is that who it is? I think it might be DB Sweeney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
So
gonna say best video game for hockey.
Best video game?
You're younger
which
though, so you probably have all these fancy games.
Yeah, I mean, I was weird. I didn't when I stepped away from the rink, I didn't like playing video games for hockey because I just played it, all the day or for a couple hours, and it was like I just didn't want to play it on the video game. I was like, I just had enough of it.
Yeah.
That's odd. I don't know. So I was
See, did you ever play Blades of Steel?
No, I've heard of it though. I've heard of it.
No, probably would not. We probably want to play if you play Blades of Steel. There was one shot, you go down in the corner, right on the red line, blue line, far line. Made it every time. It was a cheat code.
Cheat code. I still remember the first ice hockey game I ever played was it's just called ice hockey on the Nintendo. And you remember you could pick 3 dudes. You could pick the fat dude that was really slow and had a good shot. You could pick the middle dude that was like fairly good at moving and he had an okay shot. Or you could pick the guy that was super skinny, could skate around everybody, but his shot was terrible. So it's like you had to pick 3 dudes, I think it was, on your team, and so you got three kinds of players, and then you could fight, and like they would just sit there and like hit each other, and then blood would spray out from.
What?
It's an amazing game.
Yeah, Nintendo was what, 1987?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
and it's original. It's like very basic hockey, but it was really good. And you could be like 8 teams. You could be the China, you could be Russia, you could be like America, and it was just like the Olympics basically. It was amazing. It's a great game.
Awesome.
The best game ever though was the bubble hockey game in the bars, right? With the big sticks in the corner to sweep it out. That was a good game.
Oh yeah, those get heated. Oh yeah.
Yeah. All across America. Now they're kind of falling down.
I'm not gonna lie, I've never played.
You've never played bubble hockey
No.
Bubble hockey?
Never. Sorry.
Really? Wow.
Sorry.
We gotta get you.
Yeah, it's a good game.
One for the business department. Stick it right in the middle there.
I like it. I like it.
If the AD had any control with the budget, he could maybe pick one up pretty cheap.
Yep.
And you can just put a Beat Bayport sticker on the side. Every big victory, you should get something nice, right? State championship, maybe an automobile, something. That's how you keep coaching. I'm not saying you're paying them.
Yeah.
I'm saying you should pay them.
Right. Okay.
No, but I don't know. Anything else to add? Thanks.
No, I think we covered some good stuff there. I'm glad you brought up the movies and we were talking while you dropped off, Matt, about Happy Gilmore. Would you consider that to be a hockey movie?
Kind of, yeah. I love Happy Gilmore, so I take it. So,
okay, fair enough. Yeah.
But
awesome. Yeah, I honestly, Matt, I really appreciate you coming on. The one thing I realized as I was thinking about, you being on was we call this judging bouncing balls because of the whole, kids judging the ball bouncing towards them and misjudging it. But then I realized, man, it's not inclusive to pucks. I mean, we have not done a good job in including your sport, so I apologize for excluding hockey.
no, it's all good. No, definitely bounce. So.
Awesome. But no, appreciate you coming on. We have a snow day here, so we weren't going to see each other tomorrow. Yeah, pretty rough.
Just in case, just going to shut her down. It's December 14th.
Yeah.
Hey, there's supposed to be enough ice outside tomorrow we could have some skating rinks outside. So you never know, maybe a game will break up. Oh, actually, that's one thing I wanted to ask you about. Hockey used to be played outside, Matt. Would you entertain a outside hockey game like a winter classic? I think it'd be an amazing idea. Bring 2 schools together, do an outside rink because we have one here in Stevens Point. Do you think we should make this happen? Like a winter classic?
Wait, you guys don't have that for Wisconsin hockey?
No. Well, I mean, we have like the Mosey Leppin or whatever, where you have like the 3-on-3. But I'm saying like a high school outdoor hockey game. Like we should do just one at the outdoor rink.
100%. I agree. They do that in Minnesota quite a bit.
Do they?
I was at the Badger game at Lambeau, but that was one time.
Right.
Like,
yeah, you should do an outdoor game.
Yeah, they play Minnesota. Like they play in a river, and they have other ones outside. I think that'd be phenomenal. I think
we got to make this happen because I think we could do this. We have the outdoor rink. It's pretty close to where the KV Willet is. We drive the Zamboni over there and just get that baby cooking. I think this is hockey gold right here. We got to do this for sure.
Oh, I think the kids would love it. In college, we played an outdoor game, and it was one of the coolest games I've ever played in.
Okay, we got to make this happen. Maybe we'll get Bayport back over.
Bayport. Oh,
I'll make the ride. I'll make the drive.
Outdoor.
All right, awesome. We'll talk about that. We'll make that happen in future years here. That'll be good.
Only live stream it, and we'll do it then.
Oh,
first,
our 10s and 15 followers, they want it. They want it.
Oh,
they're gonna watch. Yeah,
we need it. They need it.
They need it.
Yeah, they do.
Our last soccer game was in the snow, so might as well just tie this in.
It's close. No, we would definitely stream that, and we'd be happy to do the announcing. I mean, yeah, our 10s of 15 fans would tune in for that.
There we go. I love it.
Maybe
awesome.
We'll
make that happen.
Some Spash hockey gear. Some nice gear.
We got to teach Toby how to say it though. It's hockey.
It's hockey. I know it's hockey.
All right, we'll let this go. Matt, anything else you want to add? Otherwise, really appreciate you jumping on and joining us.
No, thanks for having me. And Toby, it was nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Congratulations on the season so far.
Thank you. I look forward to continue to beat Bayport. So
yeah, please do. We're gonna reload. We're gonna get some more sponsors. New nice arena over here. Something nice for the boys.
There you go.
All right, I love it. That's awesome. Thanks, guys. Hey, Matt, just hold on for a second here because as soon as we end this, it's got to upload. But thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you.